All right, so Elon Musk has finally bought Twitter after months and months of litigation, speculation. He's finally gone into the headquarters and cleaned house. Allegedly, now he's fired some of the top people at Twitter, and it's a whole mess. But we are here to talk about the implications and what are some of the more interesting developments that are going we expect to happen with Twitter. So, Eric, what's the background on this?
These people have made a lot of decisions that have angered a lot of people, including me. But it's very interesting because a history of this turning around is going back to a New York Post article, and I'm having to project here because I can't read Elon Musk's mind. I could just kind of go by his statements and take them at face value. I believe that triggered him to there's something wrong here. It might have even been before that. No, that would be the first. But then they removed a sitting president, and I know that I believe he criticized that at the time, and his friend Jack Dorsey. And then earlier this year, Twitter removed of all channels the Babylon Bee. And I did not know it, but apparently Elon Musk is a huge fan of Babylon Bee. And this inspired him to say, I wonder if I should buy Twitter, which seems completely bonkers. Okay, he bought Twitter for $44 billion, folks. So think about that for a second. You have a favorite channel or a favorite Twitter feed. They get thrown off and you think, maybe I should buy Twitter. I have a feeling that might have just been the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Not necessarily it. So that started this whole deal where he bought a chunk of Twitter and became Twitter's largest or second largest. That was kind of questionable. I think he might have been tied with somebody for the amount of shares. But yeah, he was the largest shareholder. And we all thought, okay, so then he'll get a seat on the board and he can help influence decisions, and maybe there'd be a little more balance, because people have been complaining about Twitter for a while on both sides. Mm-hmm. Ironically, both the conservatives typically, and let's say really hardcore leftists who have been tossed off, as well as their counterparts saying that not enough of them are tossed off, which is, an interesting scenario. So nobody's truly happy, and everybody calls Twitter a cesspool, but everybody swims in it anyway. So it's an interesting, parallel there. But it turns out that he was going to get a seat on the board, never actually took it, and decided, you know what, hell with it, I'm just going to buy the whole company. And there were some dramatic emails or text
messages
that he's released between him and Agarwal, I think is the CEO's, the former CEO. I'm happy to say. Anyway, and by the way, I think it's Parag Agarwal. It is not as bad, in my opinion, as the lawyer who was fired.
Yeah.
But anyway, he then went back and forth, and then he said, you know what? I changed my mind. There's too many bots. I'm not going to buy Twitter. And then Twitter sued. Well, actually, let me back up. Twitter said, oh, hell no, you're not going to buy us. Don't you dare. And they even got a Saudi prince who was going to maybe put in money or whatever. And then he reached out to the shareholders and said, hey, why don't you vote it? Then all of a sudden Twitter came back and said, yep, we agree. We're going to sell. And then Elon changed his mind and said, no, you know what? Too many bots. I don't want to buy it anymore. And then Twitter said, how dare you? We're going to sue you and make sure that you buy us.
Now, there's one part that you're missing in this.
Sorry. Go ahead.
That the deal before, so Elon, to buy Twitter, he had to sign an agreement to lock in the share price, because he was buying so many shares. He was locking in a share price that was lower than what the market was expecting. I forgot the number. So to lock that price in, so he can buy it at the lower price.
No, when you say the market, no, because the market in general thought he was paying very well. He was paying like almost 20% above market value. Mm-hmm. There were people who complained, like the Saudi prince, who said that no, it would be worth a whole lot more. He's underpaying.
Yeah,
But I'm going to
that was
disagree. The shareholders all thought, no, I'll take my 20 something percent. Thank you very much.
yeah. But what I mean, that's the point I was making, was that they were locking in that price
Mhm.
exactly why the Saudi prince was like, it's worth a lot more. So that's why in the deal you lock in that price to say, I'm buying it at this price. So no matter what
Mhm.
happens, I'm going to buy it. If it goes lower, it goes higher. But Elon was saying, I'm locking it at this price because I expect it to be a lot more. And obviously, you're right. The Saudi prince thought it would be a lot more too. So that's why you signed that agreement. But so in that agreement, now obviously this is something, I'm making this extremely simple for something that's a lot more complex, a lot more complex as it
Mhm.
is. But essentially, that's what you're talking about. So Elon signed the deal. Now the deal had an exit clause where if Elon didn't complete the purchase for locking in the price at the price
There's a penalty.
there was a $1 billion penalty if he
Mhm.
didn't buy it. And that was Twitter. So if anything would happen, he didn't have to buy it. He would have to pay $1 billion,
That's
unless
standard, by the way, from what I
yeah,
understand,
yeah,
that when you go in and because it was a borderline hostile takeover.
yeah, yeah, of
And I
course.
think that there are some of those clauses, from what I understand. I'm not a
Mhm.
business guy, but I believe they said it was pretty common that if you're going to do this, and because they have to do a lot of, internal auditing,
Of course,
et cetera, to line it up and
put
things.
all
So
the
it's like,
money
if
into it and
you
all that
don't come
stuff. Yeah,
forth, you're going to have to pay us
yeah.
because we went through a lot of hardship over a supposed deal that fell through.
Yeah, so again, it's standard operating procedure. But Elon was trying to get out of the deal, it seems like, because of the bot
Mhm.
issue. And he was saying, now you could get out of the deal without paying anything, but he would have to show that Twitter was deceptive in
Right.
putting the package together. And part of the deception he was saying was that there were more unauthentic accounts or bot accounts than Twitter perpetuated it to be, and that he needed to look at the information, the details, have his people look at the details to see how many actual real people were on Twitter versus bots. And that obviously makes sense because real people are bringing advertising dollars, bots just are problems. But what
Which,
happens
by the
is
way,
that
is true.
yeah,
What they represented was far less than the actual number of bots. The
Mhm.
only counter argument was that, Elon, you knew that shit going in.
But that was the issue, and that's what those text messages showed. Now, so everybody understands. So Elon was trying to back out of the deal. Twitter sued and said, no, we're going to force the deal or you're going to give us $1 billion. When the
Mhm.
text messages came out, they came out to show Elon was aware of the bot problem, aware that there was this open question, and then still signed the deal anyway. So it kind of removed that argument that, hey, this was, they kind of fooled me, because it kind of went into, well, you knew about this, still signed this deal. Now you can't say that's the reason why you went out of the deal, because you wouldn't have signed it initially. If you didn't know about it, that's one thing. So then now Elon Musk, either do I lose $1 billion or do I buy the damn thing for 44? And he chose to buy it for 44 billion. So that was, so I just want to
Right.
add that part to it to
Well,
show
and there
people
was
that there was a
timing
legal
too.
process. Yeah.
I think it was a week or 2 weeks before he was to go into
The trial.
trial
Yeah.
about it. He said, you know what? I'll just buy it at the full price.
He knew he was going to lose that trial though, because those text messages were just so damning.
Here's the problem with Elon, though. The dude is a genius in his own way. I think most of us would agree. And
Of course, yes.
I think that everything he's doing is a manipulation of some kind or another.
Mhm.
So I may be wrong, but I think he could have been doing this as a negotiating tactic to lock in his investment and make sure it went through the way he wanted it. Because ironically, when he started to back out, it drove their stock down. Now remember,
Mhm.
they agreed to sell begrudgingly at best.
Yeah.
They hated the idea, right? And all the articles, everybody trashed it. So then when he pulled out, could this not be seen as a great reverse psychology maneuver? Oh, you know what? I changed my mind. Wait. Well, what? No, because internally the shareholders are saying, "What the hell's going on here? Oh, hell no. We want our 20%. We want our money." And the stock started to go. So he was literally destroying the company by doing this, and all the shareholders now were locked into this kind of weird death spiral where if he didn't buy them, they just lost a ton of money just because he entered the picture.
Mhm.
But if he did buy them, then everything was clear. So, and then at the last minute, they go to the trial. He got them to double down, double down, double down. They absolutely agreed. Then he said, okay, you know what? I'll just pay the whole thing. So
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know,
bro.
but you see, but that's some. But I'm just saying that's some high level business stuff. But this is a guy
Ugh.
worth $250 billion for making
Mhm.
high level, risky, oddball decisions. I mean,
Yeah, that's
consider
true.
even the
Yeah, yeah,
share price.
that's true.
Keep in mind, why did the share price end? It was what 54.20 per share.
Yeah,
Anybody heard of 420 before?
420.
Yeah,
That's the weed thing. Yeah.
bingo. Why did because it wasn't an even number. Remember, I
Mm.
said it was 20 something percent
Yeah. Yeah.
because of that 420 on the end.
Huh. Well,
So Elon is a prankster. He's a troll. He's the guy who walked into the building. And this brings us to present day.
Mhm.
So finally, deals going through. And by the way, that was even shaky. These past few weeks, it was kind of like, it looks like he's going to do it. Is he going to do it? Looks like he's going to do it. I'm not sure, though. He hasn't officially done it. And then you've got some weird pushback from people saying that, oh, they're going to turn it down or whatever else. And then Elon, all of a sudden, he's doing it. He's walking into Twitter carrying a sink with him. And
Mhm.
everybody's going bonkers, which really, really was quite a hilarious meme.
Twitter generated about $5 billion in profit last year. Elon, $1 billion was what 25% of that. So I don't
20,
think
yeah.
I don't actually know. I don't think they had a loss either way, right? Because it's like even if he doesn't buy it, we still get the $1 billion. So I think that financial piece helped him. But I do think
Their
and
share
him,
price, though, their share price was plummeting
yeah,
if he didn't.
but then that would actually hurt, I think, Elon's position because Elon's locked into buying it at 54. So
I
let's
know
say if it
that.
goes down to 1, he's now buying something at $54 that is she's
It doesn't
trashed in
matter,
1.
though, because he already had it spent in his
Oh,
mind.
okay, yeah, yeah. In other words, he was already going to go through the deal. He's just giving them some shit. I get it now.
Yeah, to make sure that it
Yeah,
stays
yeah,
there,
yeah.
to make
Yeah,
sure that, because think about it, because the price
yeah,
was quickly going up, right?
yeah.
What if the market all of a sudden had the price going up to 90? Then there would be all kinds of havoc, right? Like, oh
No,
my
but
God, he's stealing.
he's already locked in with the deal
I
though.
know he already locked it in, but you see, by doing this, there's no question. The
Yeah.
share price is never at risk of being too high to where then Twitter could be suing and tying up in courts and going the other way, trying to stop the deal,
Mm.
because he's controlling the narrative and has it locked in at his little price. And in the end, what did he pay? His price.
He paid the price. Yeah, yeah.
That's one more point. He fired the CEO, the CFO, and two of the top lawyers in the company. I don't remember their exact roles,
Mhm.
but he cut the head off.
Yeah.
And by the way, from what I understand, they were not only released, it wasn't they're terminated, go get their things, go spend time with their family. They were actually
Escort.
escorted out of the building, which is very symbolic and very much a statement going in. So he's not coming in lightly. He's coming in
Hot.
full bluster, very hot. Exactly. And then you have people claiming that they were engineers, that they were laid off, and that he supposedly laid off the entire engineering team. Another thing that came out was that he brought in Tesla engineers and he froze out all the engineering team at Twitter from their own code and is having Tesla engineers go through the code. So this is not symbolizing a whole lot of stability.
But didn't he say none of this? But none of this was accurate though, right? Or you're gonna hold off on that, right?
Um,
The people like the pictures that they have about the people being late. Those were actors and they were
yes,
trolling. Yeah.
this, yes, these guys were definitely, they did not work for Twitter. They're pulling a stunt, which is some interesting performance art, by the way. Let me give them some credit here. So it was not true, but this does cause a lot of uncertainty in the market. You know, people reading the headlines, they already have, their feelings about things. And this guy's, look at this.
Look at this man. And the funny thing about this though is that this shows you how easy it is to fool the mainstream media, because this story about these people being engineers, they didn't check these people at all.
New.
right?
No, they
And
just carried it wide,
and then report it as if it's true.
which, by the way, is so perfect because he couldn't have pulled a better troll himself. There he is with his kitchen
Yeah.
sink. I mean, no, come on.
That's good.
It's a story that kind of writes itself. It's so crazy how it's going. Now, I don't know for sure, but I believe that the engineering team did get locked out of the code, though. And I do
Yeah.
believe he did bring in Tesla engineers.
Mhm.
He's been very clear that he does not trust anything in Twitter. He's made it clear about the bots. He made it clear about, choices and algorithms. But this kind of feedback apparently has led to scaring or potentially scaring advertisers from Twitter.
But I just want to be very, very clear with everyone. Is Twitter's $5 billion in income is mostly based from advertising. So Twitter's
It's
business model
100% advertising.
depends on advertising. Well, no, they
Oh,
have
yeah.
the Twitter Blue now, and they have some other
Yeah,
paid
but they're not
services, but
really
it's
not
nothing.
doing much with that. Now, he
Yeah,
has a good idea about Twitter Blue, about how you can get
pay for your check
verification.
mark. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an idea. Why not? I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people would. I'd consider it.
Oh yeah. Of course, yeah. And people are out there paying for check marks right now. Anyway, you can still pay. You can pay for a check. There are people out there who actually have a business model of helping you get a blue check mark if you want. I think they charge like $300-400 if you want to do it.
Jeez, they're probably the same people who get Wikipedia articles written, right?
Yeah, because that's what they do. They write a Wikipedia article for you, throw you in a couple of those fake, the pay for what are those? You have those news articles that you could pay to have a news article written about you. So that's what they do. They'll have a news article written about you, a couple of them. Then they'll put you on Wikipedia, and then they'll apply for the blue check mark. So get your check mark. I was like, oh, you guys got a whole little system there. So it's pretty interesting.
Hey, you know what? If the New York Times bestseller list can be scammed, so can everything else. But anyway, so that leads us to the advertisers. We're assuming
Mhm.
we're panicking. And so Elon Musk wrote, I mean, literally like the day he got there, it hadn't even, it was the second it was done, he released a statement to advertisers, which you have up here. And I think this is really an important thing for him to, well, you had it. Just click that again, the left. I think it was really important for him to actually do that. Dude, what are you doing?
Center it. There it is. It should be good now. I haven't clicked that.
Okay, remove your answer in the keyboards. I wanted to reach out personally to share my motivation in acquiring Twitter. There has been much speculation as to why I bought Twitter and what I think about advertising. Most of it has been wrong. Now, this is an interesting mixed message that he says throughout. And I don't know if you noticed that, Nate. Mm-hmm. He very much was reaching out to the advertisers, but he was also kind of saying in the same letter that he didn't do this for money and he doesn't care. So he's kind of saying, hey, I want you to advertise, but pound sand. I don't know if maybe I'm reading something into it, but it is an interesting thing.
Well, I think there's a distinction to be made here. I think he can not be doing this for money, but understanding he needs the advertisers for the platform to survive, right? I'm not doing this for money, but I do need you guys to continue to work with us so the platform can make money. You know what I mean? So I think that you could distinguish them differently.
Yeah, maybe it's I want you to, but don't need you to. But there's a mixed message. But anyway, we'll continue on. Sorry. The reason why I acquire Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence. Which, by the way, that is a perfect summation to me of the First Amendment and what I believe in is that you're using offensive words or taunts or whatever to get the other side's attention without going to blows, without going into violence. You're deliberately being provocative so the conversation can be had.
Yes.
There is currently great danger that social media will splinter into far right wing and far left wing echo chambers that generate more hate and divide our society. Yes, already happening. It is actually already happening because I would argue that the left to far left is pushing out the right to far right. And that's why almost every alternate platform we are talking about has a reputation of being a right wing platform, not
Yes.
necessarily through a choice of their own, but simply what market is there? Oh, all these quote right-wing people who have been thrown out of the normal channels
Well,
looking for a home.
you know what right wing platforms mean? Not friendly for advertisers. That's what they're trying to say. When they say locals is a right wing platform, they're trying to say it's
Mm.
not friendly for advertisers, shouldn't go there. And that's the, from my understanding, that's like the spin they try to spin, right?
Oh, I agree. And locals, I'm going to say I would use Rumble as an example versus locals, because locals is a
Subscription
user,
base.
yeah, user driven model, like Substack. There's no
Yeah.
advertising involved, but I get it. Yeah, and by the way, yeah, that's deliberate code words, and that's, it's clever. I mean, you're trying to scare the market
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get them to do what you want. In the relentless pursuit of clicks, much of the traditional media has fueled and catered to these polarized extremes, as they believe that this is what brings in the money. But in doing so, the opportunity for dialogue is lost.
I think this first page is beautifully written. I think it hits exactly what we've been saying, and I think it also points out the problems that Twitter's been facing, and just having open and honest debate. Right? Just because I
Mhm.
disagree with you doesn't mean I should be censored. Right?
Right. We just recorded an episode, Nate, of you and I disagreeing with each other for about a half an hour,
Yeah.
tooth and
Yeah.
nail. And what? We're still friends. We're still having fun.
No. Hold on. I just clicked it. I'm making sure. There it is. All right. Now
All
hold on.
right, here we go.
Hold on. It
Don't do
hasn't
anything.
finished
It's
yet.
fine. That is why I bought Twitter. I didn't do it because it would be easy. I didn't do it to make more money. I did it to try to help humanity, whom I love. And I do so with humility, which is ironic coming from Elon Musk. I don't ever associate him with humility. I hope it is, but I don't associate it. Anyway, I'm recognizing that failure in pursuing this goal, despite our best efforts, is a very real possibility. Now, here is where he's toning things down a little bit, toning down the dialogue. Now, he's ginned up a lot of the meme fest and a lot of the trolling, and he is a big troll himself. But here you can see him pulling back, and that's what you and I were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
That said, Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. Very well chosen words here. And I think it's important for people to consider. It is true, but it can also be, we will have to watch and see, because I am cautiously optimistic, actually, overall, that everything will change. I agree, it cannot be a free for all hellscape.
Yeah.
Um, that's a problem. And by the way, you had mentioned locals.
Mhm.
Locals, I have a community, you have a community, we have the ability, and we do have moderation within our own communities
Yes.
where we can say, no, you know what? You can go to another community and say that it's not acceptable in my community, or
Mhm.
maybe it is acceptable in my community, depending on how we wish to run our community. But there are tools put into place for that. Rumble itself, Rumble is very much more in line with free speech than YouTube, but even we know two people who wrote the rules on that. There are certain things that you cannot do or say on Rumble as well.
Correct.
Getter has these. The CEO was under a lot of pressure for that. Parler, I believe, even has them.
Mhm.
I believe every platform does have their own terms of services to a degree, and
Yeah.
it's a matter of less or more depending. So I agree with this. In addition to adhering to the laws of the land, that is kind of my argument,
Mhm.
where I would like them to follow the standards, like the United States has the Bill of Rights and
Mhm.
whatever that standard is. Another country like India may have different standards, or Indonesia, or even Australia or Canada. And I understand that it goes up and down according to whatever the prevailing locality is. Our platform must be warm and welcoming to all, where you can choose your desired experience according to your preferences, just as you can choose, for example, to see movies or play video games ranging from all ages to mature. That's an interesting statement there. That's saying that they're not dropping the porn, in my opinion.
No, I think what this is saying is that we're going to start treating you like adults. Let me let this move. Oh, you know what? Let me do this because
That's fine. That's almost there. You don't get there.
No, I know why this is acting like this.
2,000 years later.
Come on, close. There it is. All right. Sorry. Can you pull it up on your end?
Continuing on, and this is interesting too, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me note the time.
I think he wants to change the way advertising is done. Instead of Twitter being like your big brother or your parent telling you what you can't see this, you can't see that. He seems to be saying, well, why don't you choose what you like and what you don't like? Why don't you choose who you want to follow, who you want to follow? Why don't you choose if you want to listen to hate speech or you don't want to listen to hate speech? And then advertisers can advertise to people who, if you say I don't want to hear hate speech, they can advertise to you in that, or they can advertise to you. You get to pick your experience, and then advertisers get to pick who they advertise to, which I think will be different because it gives the user more control over their experience instead of Twitter being like your parent and telling you you can't see this and you can't see that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but Twitter's already built that way. I mean, that's the part we've talked about. You choose who you follow.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, I could follow people that you find offensive, and Coca-Cola could advertise on both the people I follow and the people you follow.
Yeah.
And get my eyeballs.
Yeah.
That doesn't really matter because I'm just choosing who I follow. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I also very much believe that advertising, when done right, can delight, entertain, and inform you. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
It can show you a service or product or medical treatment that you never knew existed, but is right for you. For this to be true,
targeted ads.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
For this to be true, it's essential to show Twitter users advertising that is as relevant as possible to their needs. Low relevancy ads are spam, but highly relevant ads are actually content.
Now, if anybody reads into this is talking about targeted ads, and the only way you get targeted ads is by getting your information, location, all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's saying is that they're going to that's saying we're only going to give you targeted. You're not watching a football game and seeing a car commercial if you bought a new car, right? He's saying that is spam. But he wants to give you targeted ads. Now that brings a whole bunch of other questions about privacy concerns and all that other type of stuff. So,
but we're projecting in because it could be argued too that not everybody on the planet drinks Coca-Cola. Using my example,
yeah, of course.
But I want to advertise to everybody on the planet because I think they should drink Coca-Cola, and because that's a brand advertisement versus a targeted advertisement. And there are reasons that many organizations will do brand advertising where it's just something in your head, like, should you ever go buy a soft drink, we will come to your mind. It's not like a direct sale type of thing. So I'm not big on that. So there's gonna be some wiggle room. I know what he's saying overall. Fundamentally, Twitter aspires to be the most respected advertising platform in the world that strengthens your brand and grows your enterprise. To everyone who has partnered with us, I thank you. Let's build something extraordinary together.
I understand why he had to write this, because right now everybody's saying free speech, we can say anything, and then I don't know if you've seen, everybody's been saying all this hateful stuff, seeing if they get banned from Twitter. And
that's the people who hate Elon who are doing that. They're saying, let's test this, and that's half of it. And the other half is they're saying, oh my God, I mean, I've seen on Twitter already myself, do not bring Donald Trump back.
Yeah.
They're terrified that Donald Trump will be back on the platform. Alex Jones will be back on the platform. Everybody that many people don't like will be back on the platform, which is probably true. A lot of people probably will, but he's continued on this track. So he did the advertising letter immediately. Then he put out this tweet.
This is the Ministry of Truth one, or?
Yes. Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. Okay. So he put that out. Even that, though, he followed up later in the day with this, replying to his own tweet. Twitter, no major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. Very, very, very important, because everybody's asking, okay, so Donald Trump will be on next Tuesday?
It all depends on the council.
Well, he's got to get the council going. Now, I don't know if you remember, I kind of feel like he may be influenced by that interview that Joe Rogan did with Tim Pool, Jack Dorsey, and Vadia, the top lawyer. I always forget her name. In that, Tim Pool had talked about having a community board who would vote yay or nay or whatever. Like it could be a volunteer basis board of people, and a tweet would flash in front of you, and it'd be, is this offensive? Is this not? As a way to gauge the community.
That I think is
polling.
That just sounds so impractical. How many tweets are sent a second?
I agree on that, but then you can't do that with the council either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, there's no, I don't know how the council would, like the monetization of the platform has to be done automatically in some respect. How's that going to happen? I just don't know.
But you know what though? If it is made up by people who volunteer for it, and we can somehow determine cross section, there's enough people. Like, I'm not talking about 100 people. I'm talking about, if 50,000 people volunteer to do it, and it's just randomly flashing in front of them, you could catch a lot of it. But for having some sort of recourse, like here's my big issue with YouTube, and let me see if you agree with me. With the copyright example, they block a copyright. Now, they can block it, demonetize it, or whatever. There's different things on the claims. But unlike a channel strike, where you get a video and all of a sudden, boom, you're frozen. You can't do anything. You can't do whatever. You can't have your content out there. At least with the copyright thing, they shut it down, and if it's a block, they stop it, and then you can fight it out. Yeah. All your other videos are fine. Now, unless there's 3, that's another problem, because YouTube's got a problem with just taking channels out completely and then having to restore channels that they finally prevail through other means. I feel like something like Twitter flags a particular tweet, instead of shutting the whole account down, that tweet gets put on the side. Nobody can see it. And let me see, maybe there's like a check mark on your account. That goes to the moderation channel council or what have you, and they say it's okay. Check mark leaves. Tweet just goes out there. Your speech is not being affected; it's being paused for a minute, if that makes sense. I don't know if that could be done, but with the tools and the algorithm, at least that channel's still able to communicate, and then you can even have a note that, okay, well, wait, you put that tweet out, it gets frozen, and there will be a notice saying this tweet is under review.
That's good in an ideal world where every tweet is there's no variations in bad tweets versus good tweets, right? All bad tweets are kind of on the same level. But if you have something like CP, for instance, right, we're going to hold that on review, but let the account stay up. I think there may be a legal issue with that.
No.
Right?
On that, that's a known quantity.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have those known quantities. Yeah.
Right. And I'm talking about speech, not CP. CP is not speech. It's criminal. It's off.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be able to determine what, because it doesn't have to be a video. You could say something that's CP and it could still be. That's what I'm saying. I think there has to be a way to kind of have the dividing line. I think you mentioned earlier, criminal, right? Civil. Those would be the dividing line. But then you'd have to have somebody kind of judge it to still.
As long as it's off the platform, though, it's not spreading it.
Yeah.
So if it is frozen out, it is no longer spreading it. And there are degrees. I mean, obviously within, for example, CP, you bring that up. There's meta tag. There's hash certain hashes
Mhm.
that identify all known or a lot of known CP that's out there. And if one
Mhm.
of those is caught, boom, you're there. And I'm fine. Boom, freeze the account, freeze everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you read there was an article, I forget the publication, but that was one of the biggest issues that Twitter was having with porn and CP, is
Mhm.
that 99% of the CP that was being put on the platform was new and
New
not
and
in the
fresh. Oh
database.
yeah, I get it.
So
I get it.
so they couldn't put the only way it would get caught if it was in the database. So that's why I was kind of like, we have porn and this, how can we identify, because some of this stuff is legitimate. So
But you see,
that's
people
why they
can
were
do
doing
that
that.
by
Yeah.
doing what I'm saying, though. People can do that, and they can identify. And again, it's shoveled here.
Yeah, and I
It's
think,
immediately there. So there's a mechanism in place.
see, as we're talking about this, as from a business perspective, not even from aspirationally, I think what you're saying is perfect. But as a business perspective, as a business aspect, I don't think it's feasible in two ways. Number one, we're talking about really expanding the business model. 50,000
Mhm.
people have to be paid, right? 50, there's
No,
got to
no, no,
be
no, no.
HR,
It's all
like,
volunteer. All volunteer. No, no, no. All volunteer.
oh, that would be then 50,000 volunteers. I don't know. That's going to be, it's interesting. But if you can get 50,000 volunteers to do it, then I would, because I don't even think YouTube has volunteers, right? They pay people to do their stuff. So I don't know. It's interesting. We heard that. I think if you can get it done for free, that's a dream. But I don't think free is what they'll be going for, because then you have some quality control issues and vetting these people, and there's a lot going on to that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. And can you even do that for free? Can you even have this job? Because then you'll have the liberals saying, "Why are you having all these people working for free?" Right? This is a paid service, so you kind of
I don't know, but I'm saying that there's something in place. And again, that was the Tim Pool thing about the content review, whatever.
Mhm.
It still is giving some options.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying it's not good to have the options. I'm just saying the feasibility of the option is just something I would just be concerned about. But I do like the fact that they do have a board. But again, it goes, your criticism. It's interesting because your criticism for all this stuff, there's a piece of subjectivity where somebody has to make a decision whether this is good or bad. And right now, we've taken that decision from a nebulous, who knows who are making decisions now on Twitter, till now here's this board, but that board is still
it's not perfect.
making those same decisions. Yeah,
it's not perfect, but hopefully the board actually could seat the people with different views than the current situation where all the views are from a very tight location.
Okay.
And that, I think, is the biggest factor of all. If you can at least have the council that says, okay, well, I'm not only going to have people internal to the company who all are in one area or whatever, I'm going to have other people like the Thomas Sowell mindsets, or different Ben Shapiro mindset, whatever. So
my issue would be is that even though it's not removing Trump, I don't think is a problem for me. And the reason why is that if your rules say X, and everybody is being treated the same, and that person violates X, then it just is what it is. But I think the issue with Trump wasn't the fact of him violating any rules. It was the fact how arbitrary it was. Okay, we're just going to remove him for this reason. I think that's the problem with Trump. But to remove it, I don't want people to think that because of your status in life, I think you should have some type of privileged position. I think if he violates the, if he put up, which he didn't do, but like something like CP, like we were talking about earlier, then of course they should, nobody, there wouldn't be an issue. But I think the problem with Trump was it was an arbitrary decision made just on political purposes. That's the issue with Trump. So the fact that they removed him isn't.
And if you have a board with people who are of the opposite political persuasion,
then that wouldn't have happened.
No,
that wouldn't have happened. Yeah,
no, it would not have. And I think that'll go a long way. No system is perfect, but I think that we need more voices, not fewer.
Yes.
But you know what? It doesn't matter what Nate and I think. What do you think? Please tell us below.
That's perfect. I'm coming.
Yeah, we can't do any more. I'm looking at